Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Today is Tuesday, so actually, there was a little bit something earlier this morning with the Aussie, but I'm not seeing anything in particular today, Tuesday, September 7th, on anything else here. So yesterday was a banking holiday, so today's going to be kind of like a Monday, but we'll see how things go. I did have a open trade that I carried over the weekend on the Cat Swiss. And it ended up being a hedge play. I'll just go and show that one here a little bit. It ended up being somewhat of a hedge play. It did on the go to the 1 minute chart. If you're in Brian's room last week, I asked him to take a look at this one because I was in it, and I got in short somewhere. Let's see, this is somewhere last week, sometime somewhere over in this area. I got in short. It went up against me. And I did what I did is I put a hedge in, and so I had a buy and a short position on it together. And then I had an open position to sell when it came on. If it broke up, I was going to take a sell. Now my hedge was still favored to the downside. But anyway, yesterday my buy positions got closed out, and it went even deeper against me. But I was still believing that this thing was going to go short. And to where Brian was saying he was going to get in long down here. Well, what happened was last night, this thing took off, and I had my short positions up here, and it came all the way down, and I am now out of all my positions. Actually, I still have one more position left, I think. I had one little position that's still underwater a little bit, but my hedge positions were such that I took some sell positions up here. Got this whole move. I woke up this morning. It was profitable. I closed out my extra positions I had, and basically what I did was I took a short here. It went against me about 21 pips. I took another short. It went against me another 20 pips. Took another short. A lot like Gearbox and Variable do. It's those contra trend trades. You just keep on, because I knew that this red zone was up here. I didn't want to be taking a buy. I took a buy down here. When I got up in the red zone, I closed out my buy. But I didn't want to be taking any more sell positions until I knew it was going to break this area significantly. Then I was going to start adding to those, knowing that I had a whole nother, there's like a level in the level. We had this level right over in here. I had this little level right here. So this is kind of like a level and a level. And I figured if it broke this one's still going to hold. And that's exactly what I did. I got short here. It never really got profitable. I went short up here, went against me, took another short, went against me. Actually, when it came into this little zone here, I took a buy to hedge it because I didn't know how much higher it was going to go. But I only went for a small profit. When it came up here, I sold those buy positions. I did not take any more hedges up here because this was all yesterday. And then it took off. All my sell positions got profitable, pretty much all but one. But I had I had two extra sell positions. So once the second one, when they both got profitable, which they both did, I could close it all. I could close the whole thing out and still be profitable on the whole trade. But now we also know we have this little trend line going right down here. So long story short is that if you have a lot of choices, you have choices. You can do a hedge position. You can, if something goes against you, if you have the room in your account, you can take those positions and just keep on adding to those short positions, especially if you know you're up in an area where it should be at least be giving it up and breaking down. Oftentimes it'll go and they'll head fake you. They'll break through this. And sometimes they'll keep on going and you just have to hold off to those positions for quite a while. But we do have a little bit of a trend here. We have this little area right in here, this little bit of a trend line. Let me spread this out a little bit. And a lot of times it just depends on how much you can afford, how much you can afford to weather some of these pullbacks. If you have small enough positions, you can usually do that. And so anyway, that's what I did was that. So when I came back down into this area, I was profitable, closed out the trades. Still have one more to go. I still think it's going to go a little bit lower, but we did break the trend line. We had one little here, where, but this was the anchor. Here's the hit. I allow one, the first violation, I allow a violation from the second one. This was the third hit, and now it's starting to break down. So I'm still feeling pretty good about the short position, all in all. And if I look here, you can see the Swiss is the, yes.
Can I ask one thing there with that one?
Sure.
I mean, I just have a you have the trend line there, and it's out of the trend line, so it should be I mean, should the flow of the orders should be quite good over there, shouldn't it? I mean, the retailers are probably buying or selling here.
Exactly. Well, the retailer. Well,
when it broke the line.
We know when we looked at the this is going back a little bit to Brian's swing trading. When we looked at it, the buyers and sellers are pretty much 50-50.
Okay.
Let's see what the where did I do put that? I got it here someplace. I know I have it here. Let me see. I know I saved that thing. No, oh, daily, here we go. I think it's in here. SSI, here we go. Whoops, I don't want to delete this. See, what do you see? What do you see on your screen right now? Do you see a blank screen? No, you still. You still see. Okay, I see what you. Let me see if I can find it here. And I'll change my screen then. Let's see what the SSI on this one is. See map SSI. You are you still looking at the? Let me see now if I can. Or where is it? Here we go. Let me see if I can change this out. I gotta get used to this a little bit here. Bear with me. If I go to stop sharing, and I go to the Chrome tab, now you should be able to see the IG chart.
It's populating stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at the Cass Swiss, here it says 59% of the account, the people are short on this market. 59% are short. That means we want to be long. So right now, and this was 51%, so it's pretty much evened up. So right now it is, again, the people are, the retail, basically the retail buyers are, clients are actually now looking at going more long than, or going more short. But that means that, but I do think it's probably going to go short for a little bit, but there's not that much of a spread on this that I would hang my hat on it, especially because this is pretty much for the longer term traders. Now at 59% short and you want to be long, well, when that price comes all the way down to where Brian's levels were, we're way down here around the 71, 72 area. That's probably when you are going to want to be long, and by that time, this thing's probably going to be 70% of the people are going to be short. That means you're going to want to be buying back. But right now, we're still looking at this little area down in here where it's probably going to come down to. So right now, I would be more of a mind that it's going to go short as it's breaking out of that little zone. So let me go and change my screen here again. See, I don't need my risk disclosure. And actually, I'm just going to go with my entire screen because it's going to be easier for me to maneuver than my entire screen. Now I'm going to go to screen 2. There we go. I'm going to share screen 2. And now I can go to Cat Swiss. Now you should be able to see. There we go. There's Cat Swiss again. So you see, it is breaking this trend line, and I would be looking at this thing's going to be coming on down to around this level in here. So now this area's been broken, so we can close that out. And so you see that it's going on a 15-minute chart. I don't know if there's anything else to be looking at specifically right now while we're doing. Let me take a quick peek at this correlator here.
Yeah.
The U.S. British right now. The British is the weakest of all the pairs. Let's take a look at this real quick. The U.S. British. I was looking at that earlier, and it was on a pullback. British U.S. It was on a pullback right. Oh, I already had it, but we missed it. But I already drew out. We had a nice drop, and it was just trending on down. We had this little pullback right in here. We had the break of our 5-minute area, and we had the pullback. Now, when this thing pulled back, the British pound was stronger on this pullback, but I drew the wedge, and so as soon as it broke the wedge, I should have been paying more attention to this. Right, this is right when we started today, 7:30, and now it's starting to continue on down. So right now the pound is still weak, the dollar is still strong, reference to the pound, but we're now getting down into this new area. We're getting into that overshoot area. And I would expect this thing may start giving it up, and maybe this might be a good area to be looking at going long on it, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But we kind of missed that move. That was a nice little move right there. We had the pullback. We didn't get a close above the heavy dotted line. It broke the wedge. Right here was the entry, the end of that pullback. And that would have been only a couple pips, I believe, here from this area to the break of the wedge. There was about 5 pips, 6 pips from the top. And now we're looking at close out first target, second target. It's already at the overshoot area. This thing could still keep on going more short, but keep looking at wait for pullbacks. So right now it broke this area. We can actually probably take it and move this whole thing down. Let me unlock this. Let's see where my lines are here. Here's my red. These are my higher time frame Fibonacci's. We're breaking through the red zone, so we have a line right there to here. This is the overshoot area of that smaller range. And right now, this is a key area right here. If this thing breaks, it comes back up and retests that, we are getting the break of this the red line. This is the higher time frame Fibonacci. These are the medium ones. This is 21 pips in between this area. We got a little bit of the overshoot. Now the question is if it's going to come back up and close above, this may be the end and be looking at a reversal. So we have to be real careful at this area. But we're still we're coming with this red line, we're coming out of the upper third of the heavy areas of the higher time frame areas, the 15-minute areas. This is the upper third, middle third, bottom third. We're now starting to come out of the upper third after this nice little pullback. So it came back down, formed a high. So this is the area we're looking at as far as coming out. So we're really looking at this thing more going to the downside here. But we don't want to be too quick about it. But this is going to be the next area of operation we're looking at. So if it's coming out of there, we'll be looking at it coming back. And this will be the next target area. And let's see where we're at with that. So we'll keep an eye.
Do you want a retest on the red line before that then?
Yeah, I want to retest on the red line before I get in. So if it comes down, retest the red line. We are in the overshoot, but if it comes down, retest the red line and gives us our RCS tool here that stays with the dollar still being weak on the 5-minute chart. Let's get on back on the 5-minute here.
Yeah, it's still strong now.
It's it's still pretty strong. So right now I'd be looking at this. The dollar is the stronger of the two. It's nice 7 pips spread. I would be looking at this thing as this thing's going to go. I want to see it retest the red line, though. I want to see a little bit of a pullback. If we can get the pullback, then we can take this thing short. This was really nice here, right? I'm sorry we missed that one. Darn it. But yeah, I'm looking for a little bit of a, here's like a drop, here's a little base, and we could come down to drop and retest this area. Let's go in 1 minute and see if we can find an entry on this here. You could probably almost take this thing just short. This is the 717070. This thing has a lot of push to the downside. That's weak. That's weak. I still like to see a little bit more of a pullback on here to retest that. Let's see what the range is between here and here. That's 7 pips. I say if it pulled back 3.5 pips, I could do a sell limit 715, call it 15. And I would say if it can come back and retest this little blue candle in here, I would take it halfway through at 37.75. We may not even be able to get that 37.75. It would be right about in 37. Yeah, we could do the 75. If it comes back to 37.75, I'll take a sell limit on this one. 15 stops, 7 pip target, 2% risk. Now the spread, we have a 2-point spread, so that's the spread could get us filled before this little candle comes on up and tags it. The spread could still get us into it, but I'm okay with that. This thing's still showing a lot of weakness to the strength of the dollar. And let's see what happens here. If it does get me in and it pulls back, and if it starts to get me some 5-minute closes above this red line, then I may have to think about abandoning ship on this one, but I don't think that's going to happen. The bigger question is if I'll get filled. The other thing you can do is you can always do a sell stop, that if it breaks through the bottom, it pulls back. If it doesn't get you in, you do a sell stop, but then you're not going to get a very good fill on it. But you might be able to get like your 7 pips to those next mark here. If I do a market order, I'd probably get filled right around in, also from here. Market order would be get me at 70, 37.70. Yeah, I'd be getting filled right about the green line, which I don't want to be doing that. So this isn't a real strong pullback. This may be one we just have to say we missed, possibly. But if it gets this, if it pulls back, if it tags this, then we can take a shot at the red line. We still have this whole area to go right in here. Well, it's nice being able to turn the mics on. I really like this part.
Yeah. Better for interaction, isn't it?
Is there any particular pair you want to look at, Patrick?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Or No.
If you, whoop, I didn't want to do that. British, US. There we go. Well, we have this set. I'm going to put a little alert on here. So let's see if I get filled. Let me know that that was filled. Until then, let's take a look and see what else we have. Let's go back to that cat Swiss trade again. See I'm looking to see where the cat is. The cat is, that's on a 15-minute chart. Not a big spread on here. We have a 3 and a 2 spread, so that's not real decisive. Here's our heavy lines, our higher time frame. We're right in the middle zone of the higher time frame. And so we're going to draw some more fib lines here. We have the break of the trend line. We have the, now we're coming up to the retest of this. But we don't have the spread on the 5, down the 15. We don't have the spread on the 15. We probably don't have it on the 5 either, I'll bet. You've got a 5-minute close above there. Right now, the cat is the first currency of the pair. The Swiss, we have a 2-point spread, 4 and a 2. We did get a close above, but so right now it's starting to form a little bit of a trend line here. If we get, I'd like to see another, a little bit more decisive close above this 5-minute.
Morning, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Let me go and we're unmuting microphones today, so I'm going to unlock you, and if you want to speak, just chime in if it's appropriate, or if not, just raise your hand and we can, but we should be able to unlock there. So yeah, if we're going to allow everybody to have the mics active, we're practicing that a little bit today. Okay, so right now we're looking at the cat Swiss, and it did break a trend line, which is this heavy blue line right here, and it's forming a little bit of a wedge. And I'm going to see if it's going to break through. If it breaks to the bottom, it is trying to go. It broke, came back down. We have another 5-minute close above this mark right here. I'd like to see this thing close up here again before I would take it. Now, British US, we're to add an alert on it. British US, see about what we got here. Here's the pullback. We're still looking at this thing possibly going short. We are in this trade now. We took a sell limit on this trade. Now, if it comes up and retest, if it closes above this heavy red line, which is our higher time frame fib line, if it closes above that, then we're going to maybe rethink our position on it. But right now, we had a pullback. We had an overshoot. This came back up. It's retesting it. We did take we're a little aggressive with our entry on this one. But we're looking at this thing just pull back, a little bit of a wedge right in here. Strong little trend line. But now if this thing can, so we're in the trade, but our stop is going to be way up here, and I probably won't let it go quite that far. If I get a 5-minute close, above this area and retest, and I'll be out of this trade and look for it to go maybe reverse positions. But right now, the British pound is basically overall, it's been fairly weak to the US dollar. And so I'm just looking at this being a pullback. Here's a little drop, a little bit of a basing here, dropped again, coming back up to retest this trend. I'm going to draw a little bit of a wedge right in this area. I'll project this retest. And let's see, I'm going to align this with a good, nice 30-minute time frame here at 8:30. Right now it's sort of kind of in between here, but if it can break through this little area, we're looking at coming down to retest the green zone and then this heavy dotted line. And so right now we had the break, the retest. Let me draw this out here. So here's the break. Here's the retest. We got that's a 1 minute close. And so here's target 1, target 2, and target 3. Go back to our 5-minute chart. You can see we had here's our fib line at the 5-minute close, went a little bit deeper, coming back, retesting. Now basically we took an entry halfway between the confirmation candle, which is this one right in here. This was a confirmation candle. We took a sell limit halfway between. Now if it comes up here and closes on the 5-minute, if it closes with that, I said then we might be looking at this as just a quick overshoot and make it go up higher. But right now all of our indicators are saying that this is still a short. Now, we have a 7-0 spread on the 5-minute. We have a 7-0 on the 15, 7-0 on the 5. Now all this is saying that this is on a little bit of a pullback where the British pound is pulling back a little bit, getting a little bit just on the pullback, but these are still solidly in the short position. Now we do have to be careful that we did come out of the upper 25% area or the upper third area of the higher time frame. That's where this can get. So with that coming out of that, we're looking at heading on back down to the more of the middle area, which is going to be the area between the red and the green. So this could be this green line right here at the 137.16 could be the next target area for this down move. But it's not going to be it's not going to be a direct shot, I don't think. Any questions? All right, so if anybody wants to, if you want to unmute your mic, just hit that little, click on that little telephone receiver at the bottom of your screen. I don't know if you can see it on mine or not, but there's like a little telephone handset. If you click on that, that should open up your microphone so you can talk. But I do ask, unless you want to say something, just keep it muted until you're ready to ask a question or something. Nice little pullback. Did not get a close above. We saw the strength to the downside. You don't want to be, and let's see where the other moving averages are here. Let's see where our 1 minute moving averages are. Take this one off. You can see all the moving averages are, well, let's see, we're starting to get a little bit of a flip over here, but all the moving averages on this nice down move are all in the right order. Here's the 62, the 30-minute, the 34, the 13, and then the 5. Now we are getting a little bit of a flip over here on the 1 minute, but I think if you look at the 5-minute, I'll bet it's going to be pretty much in order. Yeah, we have the 62, the 13, the 5, The 5 is still below the 13 on the pullback. And we get this thing to start hooking back down again, we have another little run to the downside. Then we wait. Questions? Hopefully everybody had a nice holiday yesterday. I know I mentioned that I may get back into the room yesterday if things were such that I had the time, but I decided to take the whole day off yesterday, which was rather enjoyable actually. So
Patrick was looking for you yesterday.
yeah, I saw he was looking for me, and I just didn't have the gumption to get on the computer, so I just.
I know. I was the same. I didn't even come into the office yesterday at all.
Yeah, I didn't. All I saw was that there was some interest, but I just didn't want to take the time on the computer. It's kind of nice taking the day. Actually, when the bankers take a holiday, it's kind of nice taking a holiday right with them.
Yeah.
There's not much. The market's kind of slow and sluggish, and there's. I mean, if it was probably a really crappy day outside, I probably would have been on it a little bit, but it was a nice day and enjoy the outside.
Yeah. And it was the last long weekend of the summer up here anyway. Well, I think for you guys.
Yeah. This Memorial Day is the kickoff of the summer season, and Labor Day is the pretty much the end of the summer, getting ready for the fall and winter. So yeah, pools started closing, and people start getting ready to hunker down for the winter time.
Thanksgiving's next.
And we still have to go through Halloween first.
Ours is before Halloween. Yeah, we're in October.
Yes, Patrick.
I was thinking, could we take a look at Euro against Aussie?
Euro Aussie, sure. Let's see, Euro Aussie. Let me find it here. Let me think where I'm at. Oh, trading view, Euro Aussie. We'll keep this one. Let me just get a different tag here. Duplicate. Euro Aussie. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Let's see what we got. I'm going to start with a new fresh screen. Okay, so let's take a look at this and see where we can do a couple different things. We have a blue zone to the blue zone. We can draw the fib line that way. Or we can look and see where the prices have been hanging out for the last for all last week. This is a new week, so we kind of see where the high for the last week was. So last week, let's see, that was going to be September 5th. September 5th, 2, 3, 4. Actually, no, that's this week. August 1st. Where's my calendar? August 29th. That's what I want. Let's see where the last week's high reference was. And I'm going to put it right about in this area right here. So here's our choices. We can go from the blue zone to the blue zone over here, or we can take it on up to around this pivot high. This was the high of last week's high to the last week's low, to the overnight low, which was right here. I'm using the whole week last week because we're at the beginning of this week. So I want to see what last week's range is. You can see last week it was a down move, and this is a pullback of that down move. I'm just giving you a couple different choices of how to set your charts up. So this is the pivot high. This is last week's pivot high. This is the overnight, this week's pivot low. You can see that just sort of wicked down there, but we're going to use that since this is the new low where we had. and now it's coming up into the upper 25. Well, right now it's still it's in the middle of this whole move. But if I were to draw and find out where the upper 25% is, again, we have a couple different ways of doing it. I can just take that range and do a, okay, 2, and this is the upper 25. It's going to be right in here. This is the upper 25 here. This is the lower 25%. So it's coming out of the lower 25 and it's coming, and you can see it's right at the 50% line. I'm going to change this back to a higher time frame Bollinger Band. And so right now, we're right in the middle of this, of last week's high and this week's low. We're sitting right in the middle between the two. So that tells me that this thing could just stall out in here someplace. But right now, this is our playground, right? This is our playground for today. And that's this area right in here. Make this these are reference lines that we're going to be using here. And then we'll go to our 5-minute chart and see what we got. And I need to sync everything. I'll get this thing back on here. Oop. So we're going to sync this. It should be there. There it is. And we're going to sync this one. That should be there too. It is. Okay, there we go. So here's our 5-minute chart. Remember, we're right between the red and the green lines. Now this is, again, this is just by using the pivot highs and pivot lows. I could have just as easily drawn between the 5-minute lines on the higher time frame. It still will give us pretty much right the same zone regardless. We're just going to do it this way this time.
I haven't looked at the strength of the pair, but I think also it's stronger at the moment.
Let's see. Right now, well, this one is it's stronger, but not by a lot. So I've got a 4-2 spread on this right now. That's on the 5-minute. Let's see what it is on the other time frames. I got a 3-2. Yeah, it's not overly dominant right now, which kind of confirms the fact that it's in the middle of the zone.
Yeah.
Now, what we don't really know is so it's in the middle. It's in the middle zone, and it's in the middle of the middle. So like I said, we're right at the 50% line. So right now, I would stay out of it until it kind of gets out of this little area in here. Let's go to our 5-minute chart. And when you're in the middle of the middle, that's usually says it's going to go sideways for a little bit, and it looks like it is giving us a couple little head fakes here. It broke down here on the 5-minute, broke down. And this is a little bit of a pullback, but it still has somewhat of a stronger upward dominance on this lower time frame. So here's our range. So if we use this area right here, now remember, the heavy dashed lines or the solid lines are triggers to cross over to take the trade. These smaller lines are our target zones. So if we had the 5-minute, and we did get a 5-minute, you see, the thing is, we got a 5-minute close right here. We got a 5-minute close right here. Right now it's forming a wedge. And I'd say until it gets out of this area right in here, we would just want to stay out of this trade until it becomes a little bit more pronounced as to which direction it's going to go. Here's a 5-minute close. Here's a 5-minute close. So, and we don't know how high this thing's going to go, but let's just project. Now we have a pivot here. We have a high, a lower high. Here's a pullback. Another push up, pullback, push up, pullback, push up, bigger pullback right here. So right now I'd be looking at a trend line from this area to this one, to this pivot. Draw my wedge with that. And so right now I'd be looking at it. So we had, this was a strong move up, pullback. I would say this, I would favor this thing to the upside. And you can see like right now, we have a 3-point spread right now on this. So I would be looking to see it pull back to either the green line or the trend line. I could take a trade either way on this one. So if I pulled back to the, because you have this one little, so here's where the price is. If you draw a box between where the B is and directly underneath, well, here's our bounce point. So we could be looking at a, you could an entry there, or you could look at it here. That's be a little bit more aggressive. And I think what I would expect this thing to do is going to come down, head, well, in this, I look at this as being a trap right in here. To go, it'd be a trap to go long. If it breaks this, then we're probably going down lower. But right now, this thing still has the momentum to the upside. We have a 3-point spread on the 5-minute. We had the crossover. I would be waiting now for it to either test this trend line or wait for it to come down into our trap to take it short. And then this would be the target. And then if that happens, we're looking at, so here's the, we'll be using this 5-minute candle for our reference. So here's the move up. There's the entry. Waiting for the pullback right now. And then we have target 1, 2, and 3. So that's the way I'd be looking at this one. And again, if it pulls back, I want to still see a 3-point spread. And right now, you see we have a 5-1. It was a 4-1, I guess, or 4-2, something like that. We had 3 points on this move up, but as it's coming back to retest, we're going to lose our spread on that. Again, remember, we are in the middle of the middle of the middle. So we want to be really careful as far as we don't want to be getting ourselves beat up and whipsawed here. So I would just be patiently waiting. I'd be more apt to take it down here. And if it comes down to retest this heavy dash line, if it wicks down and cannot close, I'd be okay maybe taking it if this thing starts showing strength, to giving some dominance to one of the strengths on this. But right now, I'd be a little patient. This is one of those where you learn to stay out of a trade rather than, even though everything is still like you had to close and everything else, and you maybe even had the spread, but again, you're in the middle of the middle on basically one of the first trade days of the month, of the week. And I'd just be real careful because you need to get that strength confirmation that's going to come up and retest. But right now, it's probably going to be hanging up in between these 2 points going on across. Let's see, we were in the British US. How's that doing? We're hanging in there with the British US trade. We did an entry. Right now, everything's still looking okay. I'm going to move my alert up here. If this alert comes up here, I want to know about it. So I'm going to mark this. Add the alert there. And if it comes back down close to my target area, I want to know about that as well. So we got in here, we have our target is right on, that's our 7-pip target. If we get close to that target, I want to know about that as well. So I'm going to put another alert right about in here. Let's see if we want to be getting out or if we want to be taking profits. Add the alert. we have some alerts set. So right now, as long as it's staying in between these two, I don't need to know anything about it because I'm not going to do anything. If it comes up here, I want to think about if I want to get out of it. And if it comes down here, I want to be thinking if I want to take my profits. Now we had a nice little entry. And that's one reason why here's my 7 pip from my entry. But here's actually the first target right all the way down here. And so move this to C70, 68. Yeah, that's a 2 pips. My spread's 1.5 pips. So if it comes within 1.5 pips of my target, I want to know about it. Because I don't want to just wick down, not get me out, and then come back and stop me out. I don't want to be doing that. Any other questions? Any other pairs anybody like to look at? Let's go back to that Aussie, Euro Aussie, I think we were looking at. Okay, we have a 3-point spread. The Aussie is now number 7, so that's as high as it's going to go. And the Euro is number 4, and it's starting to point down. So if it comes down in here, I can take this trade. If you look and see, this thing's pointing down, so the Euro's getting weaker, the Aussie's getting stronger, relatively speaking, on this pullback. So the Aussie is the second currency, so actually this thing could go short on us. Or so on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, right now we'd have to say we'd be wanting to take it short as opposed to taking it long. But right now I don't want to take it either direction. If it breaks through the trap area and comes back up and retests the green line and the Aussie's still showing the strength, then I can take it short. With the Aussie being strong on the 5-minute, I do not want to be taking it against the Aussie right now. And right now the Aussie is the second currency of the pair. And that's showing the strength. So right now the strength is to the downside. So this was actually kind of a pullback in here. Again, I want to question this. This is caution. Yeah, these are strong move up. We have a little bit of a wedge up here. There's a high, low, retest. So what I'm looking for right now, I'm looking for this thing to come down, break through the wedge into the trap, come back up, have this green dash line hold, not get a close above, have the Aussie still being showing the strength, and then maybe we can take it to next area, which would be let's see where. Let me redo this. I need to change this. There we go. So I see where my lines are. So it comes. So I'm going to. So this is either going to trap and it's going to go up higher. Or it's going to trap, and then this is going to hold. If this holds, then we can take it short for target and be looking at this thing going from this direction. So I'm looking for a 5-minute close below, a retest, target 1. Target 2. This is more what I'm looking at now. Now you see how we were looking at going long, but now we're getting some indications that maybe we don't want to. Maybe this was just a pullback to go short. So we have to let the chart tell us which direction we want to go. Now, this is an uptrend. It is a pullback. But right now, there's a lot of confusion right now. And like I said before, we're in the middle of the middle. And so really the trading zone right now is pretty much in between this area. If you take this from the whole area from the red dash line to the green dash line, and we're in the middle of the middle, and And this is going to be our upper 25, and this is going to be the lower 20. This will be the upper third. Let's see, I could go this way. And then this area is going to be the lower trend. I would prefer to see the thing get up when it goes up here. If it starts going sideways in between here and here, when it comes up into this upper 25%, take it short. When it gets down here, you take it long, and then your range in between here to here should be about 14 pips. So that's only a 7 pip range in between. That's really not a whole lot of range. No, you have to be right on the mark to get, if it stays within this range, you're gonna have to be right on the mark with your entries to be able to make any profit out of it. Oh, let's see. Oh, that's 63 pips. 63? Yeah, that would be 63 pips. What was I looking at here? From here, from the bottom of this area to the top of this area. That's 34. Yeah, that would be good. That's a lot better. But right now, it's kind of stuck here. Just stay away from those trades. All you're doing is gambling with that, and it can go either way. But right now, we had this red line came down, it broke. We did get a close below the trend line. We did not get a close below here. So right now, this trap is still holding to be able to take it long. But the problem we have here is that the Aussie's showing strength. And they're kind of caught in the middle here between, we have a 6 and a 4. It's in the 6 and the 4 area, which is right in the, no, the Aussie's in the upper part of the strength meter, and the euro is, let's see, take a look at it here. Aussie's right about in the middle on the 15-minute chart. Euro's just a little bit stronger. They're kind of flopping around here. So I don't like playing around with the ones that are kind of in the middle or the lower part of the upper third, the upper part of the. Usually, I like using the top two and the bottom two. I don't like using the middle part. I said this one could work out either way. You could probably take a long and a short position. You'd probably win on both of them, but you'd be getting bounced around a lot for the better part of the day, I would believe. So this is just a good one to stay away from. Let's take a look at our meter chart here and see what else we have to work with. New Zealand is relatively strong. The dollar, I like the dollar's strength on the 30-minute and the 15. Now we are in that US, pound US. And that's just kind of hanging in there too. It's coming out of that upper third, but it's still kind of playing around here a little bit. Yes, Patrick.
How about USD CAD?
USD CAD. Okay, let's take a look at that. USD CAD. So we down here. And we'll draw this one out. Start with the 15-minute chart. Fresh chart. Clean it up. And let's see, go back to August 29th. Now this is the last significant high, and that was basically back August 27th, this was basically a Friday. And then here's the low. So right now here's a blue line. Here's a blue line overshoot. So the blue lines on this one are here to here, with an overshoot, which encompasses that area. Make this one heavy. Wrong one. And here's the upper 25% right in this area. This is our supply zone. Bone it. Try and do the same thing over and over again. That's our playground. Oh, that's while we're doing. Okay, we just got an alert for the British U.S. Let's see which way it's going here. Ooh, not going the right way. We'll see if this closes right now. How much time do we have on there? 5-minute chart. See if we get a 5-minute close. We still have 2 minutes. And we'll see when that next candle closes. It is starting to turn around, but we have this moving average all the way up here. So, but I'd get stopped out before that happens. Well, I have to wait till that candle closes, then we'll take another look. Go back to the, which one were we looking at?
US CAD.
It was US. I thought it looks like I didn't remember US CAD, but you're right. Thank you. I have a great memory. It just doesn't last very long. Okay, so here's our upper 25, lower 25, coming back into the middle. Let's get our major zones in here for the thirds. Our time frame. You notice, I mean, your upper 25%, lower 25% are a little bit, still a little bit into the top third. But right now we're coming out of the bottom third right now. So it's coming it's coming into the middle area. Let's see what my fibs are here. Just tweak this up just a little bit there. That's good. Unlock that. And we did get a 15-minute close above the green line. So that one's kind of significant. Go to 5-minute chart. And I guess I need to sync these things. We do have a slight trend going on here. This one came up, tested, pulled back, got it closed. So it is making higher highs. I'm going to move this into this area. See where my 21 pip zones are. Slide that over. We got the trigger. So we have the trigger. We have a pullback to the trend line. But we have a 5-minute close here. So right now this thing has no clear direction. It has a range going to the upside, but it's kind of in the overshoot area right now. So again, I'd be careful with that one. Take a look, see how our British US is doing. They get the 5-minute close. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this one out. This one looks like it's crossing out. We got the moving averages crossing. No, they haven't crossed over yet. And we really didn't get much of a pullback either. I think if we can get a pullback, I think I'm going to take profits down here if it pulls back. I don't know if that's going to do that though. Right now we have a 5-minute British. Yeah, we have a 2-point spread on the British US. This could be. I'm going to hold. I'm just going to hold my stop. Maybe just put just a little bit above this little wick over wick area here. If it tests this, it's probably going to take my stop. Here's this nice little drop. Here's a little base. Strong move down, coming back up to retest this little area. If it stops me out, it stops me out. This is the area that I'm looking at in here that's going to be challenged. This is a retest area. I'll put my stop just a little bit above that. Keeps it out of harm's way just a little bit. I'll take the extra hit if I need to. This is a retest. This could be a retest slash could be a trap area. So I'm gonna hold off. I'm not gonna take. I'll let. If it's gonna take my stop, it's gonna take my stop. And then if it does, if it comes back and reverses position, then I can take it long and try and get some of it back possibly. We'll keep an eye on it. Let me see. I'm just going to move my alerts. Now I know if I get stopped out or not. Let's go back to US CAD. And right now we're trying to decide, do we want to get into this? It does have the strength to the CAD. We have a 3-point spread. CAD is the second currency, and we've shown strength of the Canadian dollar. So I do not want to be taking it long if the CAD's going to be the stronger of the two. So I can't take it long. I could take a short if it comes back to retest this line. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at. We did get the 5-minute, we had a 5-minute close above, we had a 5-minute close below, but we still have this trend line. So if it breaks this trend line, comes back up and gives me a test, then I can maybe take it short. But right now it's sort of range bound in an upward slope, but we're getting a little bit of a change over here. Again, it's just as important to know when to stay out of a trade as it is to know when to get into a trade. Let's see what I kind of like this thing to the short side better than I do the long side. This is a pullback. See if it comes back up and retests. That's what I'd be looking for at this point. I'm looking for a close, maybe a retest of the trend line, maybe retest up to here, and then target 1, target 2. Go to my 1-minute chart and see if we can find a little bit more, a little nicer area to get in. Let me find my zones. Remember, these are our target zones that I'm drawing right now. We had the trigger, and now we're looking for the, so I'm a little concerned with this little area right in here that bounces off, comes back up, and just keeps on testing in between here. That's why I want to be real careful with that. I want to see it close below this trend line. Now I may be able to tweak that a little bit. Enjoy your trend lines. Try and get as many different hits on that line as you can. So here's an anchor, here's a hit, had a little bit of a breach. We're looking at this, there's a retest. And now, where's my, and right now, so we have the break. There's a little drop. Here's a little bit of a basing area. We have the confirmation that it closed on a 5-minute candle off of this area to the downside. Looking at the trend line, and right now we can see if it's going to retest that or retest this area. And then they would be looking at, this would be the first target here. Second target would be here. Canadian dollar is still the stronger of the two. $7.15. And we can do a market order pullback. I'm going to do a market order on this one. Let's see how our British US is doing. Still struggling. So we have two trades open right now. We have the US CAD and the British US. Let me slide this over here. So don't forget what I'm looking at. Questions? Let me see. I see Annie's in here. I'm going to unlock your microphone if you. We're allowing people to use their microphones. If you want to say something or ask a question, just go ahead and raise your hand, and everybody's microphones can be active if you just make sure you just click on the little telephone receiver button down here at the bottom. That should be able to turn your microphone on and off. Everybody should be unmuted unless everyone should be unmuted. Everybody should be able to talk now. Still learning how to use this new platform, but actually I'm kind of liking it. Just takes a little bit of getting used to. How are we doing time-wise? We have about 15 more minutes. One thing with these new channels is that we can kind of go as long as we feel the need to or want to. So. Oh, yes. Quiet in the question box.
Very. That
We were
could be a
looking.
good sign. It could mean that they're understanding of it, you know.
Well, that's the goal. I hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
Let's see. Get that a little bit. You can see where we have, you see a lot of times when you get a nice move and you get a little bit of a wedge at the end of it, oftentimes that's a good sign. But actually sort of just basing as a drop and just kind of basing, just kind of caught in between right now, in between this little area right in here. At the pullback, CAD is still strong by 3 on the 5 minute. No, that's the 1 minute chart. Let's go back to 5 minute. And so we had an upward trend, came back closed above, came back closed below, and it also broke the trend line. Which makes me think this trend line may be starting to give up some of the strength. It had nice 3 nice little moves up. That was all overnight. But when I had the break of the trend line, came back, I took it here at 2. If it comes back up to the 3, I may take another position if everything still looks good down below. Let's see, how's our British US doing? Right now, my stop is above this box here by a couple pips. Came up to the retest area. Here's a drop, base, drop, came back up, retesting the area. It was a little higher list on the trend line here. There's our wedge. Stayed with inside the wedge. I'm going to flatline the bottom here. Came up, tested the top of the wedge, came back down. See if actually we can probably remove this one. Have our direction set. See with this move now, right now the British pound is the first currency we have, but you can see the dollar and the British pound are fighting for first place right now. So there again, there's no real clear direction. So I'm just going to hold my trade. Now, if this strong move down comes back, we had the retest. Now, if this trend is going to continue, we can probably use a look for a target from with the Fibonacci extension tool from the C to the low to the retracement. Retrace back over 61% retracement. If it does break this area right here, we're probably looking at the 3 and 4 area of that Fibonacci retracement extension rather. This would be the target zone, which is right at my 3, where my 3 and my 4 is. And that's the second that would be a double confirmation that that's a fairly decent target zone. Take this off. And I'll tell you, I'm going to move this thing back down towards this area right here. Now that we had that pullback done. We'll see if it can break through this little trend line here. Now here's going to be a test to see if it can close below this red line. That's one of my fib lines, I think. Yep. If we can get it close again below, we had the pullback. I want to see this thing close below. If it wicks down below, I'll probably just pull this trade. This is going to be a key point right here. What time do we have? What's our time? 51. Okay, so yeah, come up on 9 o'clock. Rather than getting stopped out. So right now the deciding factor is that if I get a close below the red line, I will stay in the trade. If it bounces and closes above, I'm going to pull this trade and see if I can salvage some pips and maybe look for a different entry on it. You're having some problem getting through that again. How much time do we have on this? We have still have another 2 minutes. We have the moving average crossovers. We have the green over the yellow, but we have this 62 up here coming down. So there's still some pressure coming down. We'll see if this is just a little head fake in here. That price was rejected, this one. So right here's our trend line. Here's an anchor, here's a hit, pull, rejected, came up, here's a hit, rejected. Here's our little box that we're playing in right now. We'll see which way this thing breaks. If it breaks the upside, I'm out of this trade. If it breaks the downside, hopefully I can get it closed below this red line, and then I can go to the short side for the target. Right now it's kind of range bound. I don't like the fact that it came down to this red line and got rejected. Right now I'm in 3 trades. I'm in the British US, which we're kind of looking at right now. We have the US CAD, which is not behaving very nicely either.
Not playing nice.
It's kind of like a Monday morning. We're not getting any. We're not getting the follow through with some of these trades here. And then we had the CAD Swiss, which I was in from last week, which I was able to close out some major profits on that one. And right now I have one more short position left, but I can close it out now and I'd still be profitable overall for the trade. But it does seem to be looking like it wants to go short. The CAD is the weaker on so CAD is, yeah, so the Swiss franc is the stronger of the pair on the 15, kind of fighting it on the 5 minute. Swiss is strong on the 15, so on the 1. So basically I'm still in a short position. It's just looking at seeing if it's going to come in and retest this line right in here. My first entry was at 72.62. So I'm going to put out an alert. So if it comes down to 72.62, I'll put an alert in so know that I can pull I might break even at that point. Add an alert to that. And see how things are going in the British US. That's still hanging in okay. Didn't get the close below. We are starting to get the crossover. That's kind of a that's a nice little rejection there. That's a long wick on that 5-minute candle. Move this alert down below here. All things being equal, we have a nice pull down, little rejection, rejected off of this. Right now I have 3 red candles. If I get a close above this red candle right here, I'm out of this trade. Unless it basically I'm going to see a close below or a close above this wick this candle area right in here. It's sort of a zone of indecision right here. And we still have another 42 minutes and 40 some seconds to go. We'll see if the buyers can push it back up again when it hits this red line. Any questions? Any other pairs that anybody wants to look at? Eva, are you doing your session at 9:30?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I set up my variable today too. I've been busy.
Oh, yeah. Well, my gearbox, I closed out everything on my gearbox this weekend. Finally closed out some profits, started it over again, and right now it's profitable. So we'll see. Sometimes you just, when it's in drawdown, or just, I went for like 3 weeks without taking any profits at all with my gearbox. So when I finally got profitable, I just closed everything out and thought I'll reset everything, reset the clocks, reset the ghost trades. And variable's still hanging in there, but it's still in drawdown.
Is that?
Yeah, it's been in a couple of trades for quite a while.
Actually, yeah. I just started running it this morning, and it's already closed out for some profit for me.
Yeah, a nice combination. Have something running, somewhat an EA running, and then do the manual trading on top of it. And usually that's a nice combination. That way you can maybe learn to, as your EA is becoming more against you, you can possibly trade that to the opposite direction to help cut down some of the drawdown.
Yeah.
Plus, most of these EAs they're contra trend trades are basically as it's so. If the market's going long, they're taking shorts. If it's going short, you're taking longs, and you're just taking bigger and bigger positions. And waiting for that snapback. And that's a little bit what I'm doing here with some of these. I'm in and out within usually 10 or 20 minutes. But when it starts going against me, then I'll start hedging against it. Kind of like what I did with the CAD Swiss. All right, see this one right now, this British US. We are showing some strength. Dollar starting to gain some strength to the British on the 5-minute. But we got a bounce, couldn't close out. Another 5-minute candle, bounced, couldn't close out. This might be the pre-market moves a little bit. It is showing some weakness. Right now, I'm okay with this trade short. The British US, I'm okay with that one short. US CAD, how's that one doing? Did we get stopped out on that? Looks like we got stopped out on that one.
Yeah, it's like a Monday really for the markets, isn't it? Since it's been closed for a few days.
Let's take a look at our heat map and see what we got here. Dollar is showing strength. So a dollar strong, euros weak. Let's take a look at the euro US. That might be worth taking a peek at. Euro USD. Here we go. 15-minute chart. See where our zones are. Here's the week side. This is Sunday. Let's see, that's the September 3rd. September 3rd was on Friday. Here's Friday's high. Start this over again. Let's see, take a look at, see where the zones are. Here's the last significant low. This was on the 1st of the month. Okay, so I'm going to draw. I'm going to use, we'll see where this high is from here. Looks like this thing's been trending to the upside. And it's right now, it's in the middle between, this is basically the beginning of the month right here. And you see it's right by a blue line. I'm just going to use this little pivot low right here. That's August 30th. So that was the last day of last month. Here's the month high. So right now we're right in between this area, going sideways, how to bounce off of this. So here's our playground. You can see it doesn't really matter whether you use the pivots or you use the Fibonacci zones. It's not going to really matter much.
Excuse me, Al. I'm going to leave the room and get ready for my session. So,
sounds like a plan.
All right. So hope to see you guys over there.
See you in your room here. Another.
All righty.
See you there.
See you there.
So here's our playground right now. So here's our high, here's our low. We don't have a breakthrough here. It's got a little bit of a bounce. Let's divide this by thirds, and so find out where our is our. And so we're the bottom third of the middle third. Break this down some more. And so now we're going to be looking at where our again, the solid lines and the heavy dashed lines are our triggers. And then these smaller, finer lines are going to be our target zones. Come down to our 5-minute chart. And that's going to be right here. So we had a trigger here, had the retest. Now we're coming down to, this is more of a target zone. So if it comes back down, bounces, if we're still inside this range, we'll be looking for a, let's see, well, we're kind of in this 21 pip range right in here. Really no trade. We are going to trade to the strength of the dollar. We're pretty much already at our target. Here was the break. Here's the retest. Target 1, target 2, target 3 is down here. We may start looking for maybe a reversal if we get the bounce off of this. So the only way to know about that is we have to go to our higher time frame and see where our trend lines are. Gotta wait for that bounce. Let's see if there's another trend here. Actually, the trend line, I like it. We had a little rejection right here along this line. Come down and see if it gets rejected again. So here's our, we did get the wedge break. This is the origin of the strong move up that was pulled back, strong move up, pulled back, strong move up, and then pulled back and rejected. So here's our trend line from here to here. Here's our trend line. Here's the anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. Here's the breach of the hit. And this all happened back earlier this morning, 5 o'clock. This is at the London Open in there. So right now we're kind of range bound between the top of this, the wedge here, and this area right in here. So really there's no trade right now because now if we get a breach and close below this heavy dotted line, then we can be looking at this area. But this is the overshoot where the yellow line is, that's the overshoot area. If it can come down to kind of tag that and retest it, that would be good. Or if it comes up and retest this upper trend line, that would also work. Because now you have a pivot high and you have, here's where it was rejected. So we have this trend line here, then we have this upper trend line here. There's the anchor, here's a hit, here's a hit. So right now, this is the area. There's a high, here's a low. Here would be a retest. This is the area we're looking at, right in this whole area right in here. Right now, you would want to be taking a short if you want to, if you have the room, we have to measure it out. You would want to take a short here and take it long down below. But I don't want to be taking it long if my dollar is the stronger of the two. So right now, there's really no trade. We just have to wait and see what it does. But if it starts trending, if it breaks here, then we can use this trend line for a higher time frame trend line. If you want to go for more of a trade, right now I'm looking at having to come down. Dollar is the stronger of the two, stronger by 3. I want to see a break of the trigger line, which is the blue dash line, heavy dash line. Maybe looking at to close, retest here, and then go target 1, target 2, target 3. But right now it's in the middle, so we're looking at seeing if it's going to come down into the bottom third. And so we just have to wait and see. This would be the plan right now. Is it? I see a break here, a retest. And for breaks, and gets our 5-minute close, we can enter here. We could also enter here. And then this would be our targets. And by the time it gets down into the screen, below this green line, you'll be looking at maybe taking it long, because now you're getting into the demand zone. You don't want to be taking it short in this area. You'd be looking for that bounce to be able to start taking it on to the upside. And that's about it for that. And let's see, what time do we have here? Any questions, comments, anything else we want to see? We'll go for about another 5 minutes. We'll take a 15-minute break, and then we can revisit Eva's room, where she'll be doing some indices. I'll keep an eye on some of these trades that we are in or we're looking at, and I'll be in Eva's room, and we can, if I see something here, I can point it out. This one we got stopped out on. This one I'm still in short, but it's starting to retrace on me, so that's okay too. And this one is still kind of hanging in there. We did get a close. We got a retest. But again, this was not really, it's not going as planned. We're still hanging in there with it. But I think with this one, I may want to just go ahead and do a get out with a break even if I can, and reassess. I'm just going to move my entry right about here to about break even. Maybe I'll take even a little bit. Well, there's the, I'm going to move right to around break even and move my alert where I got in and see if it comes in and gets me out. And today's acting a lot like a Monday morning after the holiday. But we do still have a target down here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to move this big profit down to right about in there. I use the alert to see if it alerts, which I think it will, and I can see if it can hit my target. If not, if it bounces off that, I'll just close it out. But we did finally get the close I was looking for. Here was the bounce that we had, didn't work. Here was another doji, didn't work. Now we have the break, we have the retest, and now we're in indecision land again. I said there just doesn't seem to be a lot of follow through today. When we get the triggers, we're not getting a lot of follow through. But the market is about to, the U.S. market is about to open up here another 20 minutes or so, and another 15 minutes. That's all on, Patrick. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you tomorrow. And no worry about being late in the room. Just come in when you can come in. We're just glad having you. Glad you're showing up. Does anybody want to say anything? If not, we'll take a little 15-minute break, and we'll reconvene over into Eva's room and see what she has going on today.
No, thanks.
Okay. I'll leave these. I'll leave my chart up here. I'm just going to watch this one a little bit. This British U.S. does look like it has some pressure to the downside, although it's still kind of fighting it a little bit here. Generally, if the trade doesn't mature, generally if the trade's going to work, it's going to work within about 3 or 4 candles. This one's been hanging on here for a little bit of a while. We got in right around this area, took a little early entry, never really did get profitable on it. Strong pullback to this little region up here. And this little doji held. Now this little trend line, this upper trend line is holding. So we actually have a trend line from the A to the C. That's our strike. Now, if it breaks, if we can get this break, then this will be our trend line that we're going to be trying to follow. But right now, I'm looking at if it does break, I want to see this. This should be a good target for it. But we got to get that break first. Now, it did break this trend line, but it's still making higher lows. Here's a low. Here's a higher low. Higher low. Higher low. This doesn't have the confirmation yet, but as the U.S. market opens up, if the dollar is strong, we have a strong opening, then we may be able to get this little push down that we're looking for. Of course, if we have actually we're looking for a weak opening. If the dollar is strong and the U.S. stock market opens up, if the dollar is strong, then we'd be looking at the market to go down. If the dollar is weak, if this U.S. was a zero, then we'd be looking for the stock market to go up. So we have to keep a close eye on that here as we get closer to our market opening.